For the following quadratic polynomial, find 1. The equation of the axis of symmetry, 2. The coordinate of the vertex, and 3. The vertex form y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. Okay, so in order to come up with each of these, it probably makes most sense to get the vertex form first. Because if we had the vertex form of this equation, we could just read off the values h and k to get the coordinate of the vertex. And then the axis of symmetry is just a vertical line passing through the x-coordinate of your vertex. So we would have both of those things fairly easily. What we'll do to start off with is a process similar to completing the square. And the only difference is we're simply working with one side of the equation instead of two sides. But the process is basically the same. Separate everything with an x away from the constant. And then the value that is multiplying x, that linear coefficient, you divide it by 2. So 6 over 2 is 3, and then you square that. So 3 squared is 9. So I'm going to add 9 to the inside of these parentheses. To balance everything out, since I'm only working with one side of the equation, if I add 9 here, I'm going to subtract 9 there. So that this resulting quadratic factors very easily. It's just x plus half of this number. So x plus 3 quantity squared. 9 minus 9 is 0. So this is the vertex form and is therefore the answer to part 3. Now the vertex is going to be, in this case, negative 3, 0, because it's the opposite of the value on the inside of the square. That gives you the x-coordinate of your vertex, and then whatever the outside value is, that's the y-coordinate. And we just kind of have to assume there's a plus 0 out there in this case. So then part 1 is going to be a vertical line, so it's x equals a constant, but in particular that vertical line passes through the x-coordinate of your vertex, so x equals negative 3. Now, an alternate way of doing this is to use the formula negative b over 2a, comma f of negative b over 2a, which is known as the vertex formula. It gives you the coordinate of the vertex directly. So negative b over 2a, so that would be negative 6 over 2 times 1. And then you have to take that value and plug it into your function. So negative 6 over 2 is negative 3. So this would be negative 3, and then negative 3 squared is 9. Negative 6, or 6 times negative 3 is negative 18, and then we have a plus 9. So this becomes negative 3 and 0. So we get the same vertex, that's the answer to part 2, but then we can build out what the function should look like in vertex form. So it's going to be x minus negative 3, which becomes x plus 3 squared, and then plus 0. So then that's the answer to part 3. And then, of course, the answer to part 1 is still x equals negative 3.